doing? So, tatra ko moha karshvokaha ekatvam anupashyataha ityevamajyaha shrutayaha brahma vidyanantaram moksham darshayantyaha te karyantaram varayanti. Up to that we have seen. I mean, that particular point, madhye karyantaram varayanti. That is where we stopped. So, the topic is that between understanding and moksha and freedom, knowledge and gaining knowledge and gaining freedom from samsara. Between gaining knowledge and gaining moksha. Between the two, there is nothing else to be done. Karyantaram varayanti means nivarayanti. Nivaran karte hain. Nivarayanti. These shrutis that have been cited here, Anandam Brahmano Vidwan, Navibheti Kudaschaneti Abhayam Vaijanaka Praptosi, Ratmanameva Vedam Bhasmi Dasmat Sarvam Abhavat. And these various scriptures, the various Shruti Vakyas are there only to show that after understanding there is nothing else to be done. Understanding itself choicelessly liberates man. It should be understood, correctly. It should be put this way. Right knowledge choicelessly negates wrong knowledge. Thus, if right knowledge choicelessly negates wrong knowledge, then the right knowledge, if right knowledge negates the wrong knowledge, then the negation of the wrong knowledge choicelessly negates the wrong knowledge-based struggle. In that way, there is no gap between gaining right knowledge and the negation of samsara. There cannot be. Just as there is no gap, there is nothing, there is no karyantaram, meaning something to be done. There is no gap between gaining right knowledge and the negation of wrong knowledge. Right knowledge as it is, as right knowledge is gained, wrong knowledge is negated. And the negation of wrong knowledge implies negation of all that is based on wrong knowledge. So the entire samsara is based on only wrong knowledge. So that way we can say between right knowledge about the self and freedom from samsara, there is no gap. So, gaining right knowledge choicelessly liberates the individual from samsara. Doesn't oblige. Right knowledge choicelessly negates wrong knowledge. Therefore, right knowledge choicelessly liberates man from samsara. Clear? Just as presence of wrong knowledge choicelessly leads to bondage, samsara, negation of wrong knowledge choicelessly negates samsara. Therefore, one doesn't have to think that I should not only know the truth, but after knowing the truth, I should do this, I should do that, vagera, vagera. That over-covered thinking should not come. You have to see what Vedanta is talking. Therefore here, one can do other things for other results. That's a different matter. Want money, work, that's a different matter. But in order to negate wrong knowledge, I don't require anything other than right knowledge, nothing additional to right knowledge. So to highlight this particular point, we have so many, the Vedanta tells, it puts a lot of emphasis on this particular point. Therefore, if one doesn't feel free, if one is not clear about what one is, you should continue vichara for knowledge rather than conclude that he has got knowledge and still he has to do something. You should continue vichara. That is. Ityevamaadyaha shrutayaha brahma vidyanantaram moksham darshayantyaha. Darshayantyaha means darshayanti, shatru pratyaya, darshan dikhate huve, feminine gender. Darshayantyaha, darshayanti, darshayantyo, darshayantyaha. Madhye, in between, karyantaram, something else to be done, varayanti, nivarayanti. They ward off. They reject. Vedanta Vakyas reject any karyantaram between gaining right knowledge and negation of samsara. And to prove this point, to highlight this point, Bhashyakara brings in another Vakya. Tatham tathaitat pashyan Rishir Vamadevaha Pratipede Aham Manuhu Abhavam Suryascha Iti Brahmadarshanam Sarvatma Bhavayoho Madhye Kartavyantara Varanaya Udaharyam. Tatha, similarly, tat ha etat, tad etat. Pashyan, Kshatriya Pratyaya. Pashyan, take away. Seeing the truth. Tathaitat pashyan, seeing that the Atma is Brahman, understanding. Rishihi Vamadevaha, so understanding what the self is, the sage, Vamadeva, Pratipede, gained. Also even say, came to know. Pratipada also is to know. Pratipede, also know. He also knew. Licked, it is licked. Pratipede, he came to know. Knowing the self as Brahman, he also came to know. What did he come to know? Aham Manuhu. I am Manuhu. Here it means I am the subject. Abhavam, I have become. Suryascha, and the sun. The sun stands for the prapancha. Manuhu is the subject. I am the subject as well as the object. The subject and object are myself. So, the subject and object are myself is what is called Sarva Atma Bhavaha. Sarvatma Bhavaha means I am the self of all. Meaning everything boils down to me, that is called Sarvatma Bhavaha. So when the water in the wave understands itself, when the wave understands itself, then it understands itself to be the Atma of the entire Taranga Prapancha. As water It is Atma of all the Veds. So that I am the Atma of the Sarvam, the Prapancha, is what is called Sarva Atma Bhava. The status of being the truth of everything is called Sarvatma Bhava. Now this Sarvatma Bhava, which is moksha, and understanding oneself, and understanding oneself to be the Sarvatma, or understanding oneself and being the Atma of everything. Between the two there is no difference. So here he says, Tadhaitat Pashyan Rishirvamadevaha Aham Pratipede Aham Manuhu Abhum Suryascha. This particular Shruti Vakyam shows what? It shows that means Vamadeva came to know the self, and he also came to know himself to be the Atma of everything. Therefore, self-knowledge and Advitiyatvam are not two phases. That's why it says, Brahma Darshana, understanding Brahman, Sarvatma Bhava Yoho, between Brahma Darshanam and Sarvatma Bhava, between the two. Madhye, between the two. Bhava Yoho Madhye. Karyantara Varanaya, to understand, to reject any Karyantara. Nivaranaya. Karyantara means something to be done between. That Karyantara, Varanam means Nivaranam, rejection, avoiding, meaning understanding there is no Karyantaram. Karyantara Varanaya, for the purpose of understanding that there is no Karyantaram, Udaharyam should be cited. This particular Shruti has to be cited. Which particular Shruti? Tadhaitat Pashyan Rishirvamadevaha Pratipede Aham Manurabhavam Suryascha. This particular Shruti has to be cited, means should be used, meaning it is there for the purpose of, showing, it is meant to show that there is no Karyantaram between knowing Brahman and being Brahman. Between knowing and being, between knowing and being, there is no Karyantara. Therefore, in being Brahman lies the moksha, but knowing Brahman doesn't really lead to, knowing Brahman itself is being Brahman, because even before one comes to know that he is Brahman, he was Brahman, but he took himself to be Jiva. Therefore, the Jiva has to know that I am not Jiva. That itself is negation of the Jivatvam, that itself is being Brahman. Therefore, this particular Shruti, Haryam, it is a niyat. वृद्धि होती है, उसमें नियत आती है, नित्य है. So, Udaharyam, Aharyam, Ud Aharyam, Khri dhatu se bani hai, should be cited. This much you understand. Clear? So, this particular Shruti has to be cited to show that there is no Karyantaram between knowing oneself and moksha. Between knowing Brahman and being Brahman, there is no Karyantaramiti. Yatham Tishthan Gayatiti Tishtadi Gayatyoho मध्ये तत्कर्तृकं कार्यांतरं नास्ति इति गम्यते. So, another example is given here, yatha just as tishtan gayati. बैठे गाते हैं. बैठे हुए बैठ के गाते हैं. तिष्ठन बैठ के गाते हैं. बैठा somebody is sitting, sitting is singing. Seated, singing. Now between seatedness and singing there is no karyantaram. In that manner, tishtan gayati iti tishtati gayatyoho madhye, between sitting and singing, tat kartrikam, done by that person, karyantaram, something, some action, nasti is not there. Iti gamyate is clear, is understood. Gamyate means avagamyate is clearly understood. What is clearly understood? When we make a statement that somebody is seated singing, seated, sitting is singing. Now between sitting and singing, I am not implying any action. But I am only saying sitting is singing. So between sitting and singing, there is no karyantaram. Seated he is singing. Similarly, knowing he becomes free. Knowing one becomes free. That means if I do imply another karyantaram, I would mention it. If I do imply another karyantaram, I would mention it. But I am saying seated is singing. That means what? There is sitting and singing. Between the two, there is nothing. कुछ और कुछ करने का नहीं. And another example, this we have to see, this thing, we should give no scope to unless, pokey mind imagines. It is a good Purvapaksha. Purvapaksh mein chale jati hai. So, when the 10th man, and knowing that he is the 10th man, and freedom from the search, between the two, what is there? There is no karyantam. When the 10th man comes to know that he is the 10th, he has been searching because he is ignorant of the fact that he is the 10th man, and he is told, Aptavakya tells him that you are the 10th man, and he is made to understand that he is the 10th man. When he understands clearly how he is the 10th man, where lay the mistake, he understood, and he is free from the mistake. And when there is freedom from the mistake, he is also free from the search. That is called moksha. Freedom from the search is called moksha. Freedom from the struggle is moksha. Therefore, recognizing himself as the 10th man and freedom from the search, between the two, what is karyantaram? Is there karyantaram? It is a very serious matter. There is no karyantaram. He comes to know that he is the 10th man. Now he doesn't have to use that knowledge, he doesn't have to practice that knowledge, or he doesn't have to do this or that. That very recognition that I am the 10th man, this is where I made the mistake, that very recognition liberates him choicelessly, liberates him from the search for the 10th man. And here Atma is also searching for what anyway? For himself. I want to be full, he is the search. And he says that particular topic has to be clear. Even though he says, I want money, power, position, etc., and none of these things. In fact, Jiva is not interested either in money or in power or in position or in nothing. He is interested in being full. in being full. And that fullness happens to be his nature, and when he recognizes that I am all-comprehensive being, in that recognition, the search for fullness is gone. The search for fullness choicelessly is to go. Thus, between recognizing the Swarupam and freedom from the struggle, between the two there is no Karyantaram. We call them two there. The very recognition implies freedom from misconception. Right knowledge implies freedom from wrong knowledge, and freedom from wrong knowledge implies freedom from the implications of wrong knowledge, called the struggle. Therefore, right knowledge choicelessly implies freedom from samsara. This is the vision of, this is what Vedanta is struggling to convey. Therefore, the effort should be purely educational. The effort should be vidya about one's swarupa. Rather than collect some information, oh, I know that Atma is Brahma, fir bhi I don't feel, therefore I should do something, kuch karna hai, bahut sun liya hu, ab kuch karne ka samay aa gaya hai. It is high time that I do something. And then what do? Jiva kya kar sakta hai jiva? Kya karega ye jiva? थोड़ी देर करते हैं, नींद आ जाती, सो जाता है. Nothing is all real. Therefore, we have to seriously look at what Vedanta is talking. Anyway, अब देखिए, यथा तिष्ठन् गायति तिष्ठति गायत्योर मध्ये तत्कर्तृकं कार्यान्तरं नास्तीति गम्यते. Now he gives other vakyas. You see, he says, Bhashyakara's pet topic. I'm telling you. Wherever he touches it, he goes on and on and on and on. Hey, differentiate Vastutantra Jnanam from Purushatantra Vyaparas. What you do is nothing in comparison to what you are. Don't judge your life in the light of what you do. And in the swabhavikam, the what we call the universal, thinking is, you see, man has a universal propensity to only glorify what he can do and achieve. How does he really get out of that propensity? Is it so easy? Therefore here Shruti says, hey, what you are is something that is matchless. Therefore Vidya, you should study to know that Swarupa of you, and therefore Bhashyakara always is in the best form. He is in his full form when he touches this particular topic. Therefore he brings in other vakyas. Tvam hina pitam yosmakam avidyayaha param param tarayasi shrutam hyeva me bhagavat rishebhyah tarati shokam atma viditi soham bhagavah shochami samma bhagavan shokasya param darayatu tasmai mridita kashayaya tamasaha param darshayati Bhagavan Sanat Kumaraha Iti Jayumadhyaha Shrutayaha Moksha Pratibandha Nivritti Matrameva Atma Jnanasya Phalam Darshayanti. Now please see, Vakyas like in Chandogya, Narada goes to Sanat Kumara and tells him, and says, Tvam hi naha pita, you are like a father to us, a sage. Narada, even though he was highly informed, but yet he felt all his skills and all his information, empirical information, did not help him find what he wanted. Therefore he comes to the sage Sanat Kumara and tells him, Tvam hi naha pita. You are like our father. Naha means asmakam. You are like father to us. You are like father to us. Tvam hi naha pita. Yaha jo asmakam avidyayaha param tarayasi. Who would take us across avidya? You are like a father who would avidyayaha param, which is param, tarayasi, nich tarayasi, tarate ho. आप हमको अविद्या के उस पार तराते हो. And there are so many other vakyas which are not given here. Then Sanat Kumara teaches Narada. Who is that Narada? This vakya also is brought in for so establishing so many things. Tasmai Naradaya. Many people. Mridita Kashayaya. Mridita Kashaya means the one whose mental impurities have been thinned out. Mridita, Nishta, Mridita. Thinned out is the Mridita. Softened up. Kashaya means impurity. Mridita Kashaya means a person whose mental aggression, impurities, etc., ragadveshas, impulses, whose impulses have been softened up, whose impurities have been thinned out. Meaning an individual who has grown out of a lot of trash in his mind. A trash-free mind, clean mind. So he taught whom? Narada. Which Narada? Mridita Kashayaya. That means this is also cited to show that a Vedanta Vidyarthi must have Viveka, Vairagya, Shat-sambhati, Mumukshutvam, all imply only Mridita Kashayatvam. Mridita Kashayaya Naradaya. Now we have missed one line, Param tarayasi. Shrutam heva me bhagavad drishebhya. Shrutam heva, Narada also says, Shrutam heva, it has been heard by us. We have heard. Shrutam heva me, it has been heard by me, bhagavad drishebhya, from people like you. Bhagavat means, bhavat. Bhavat drishaha means person like you, people like you. From people like you, from sages like you. From here and there we have heard. This is what is called, it is there in the air. Yeah. Bhagavat Rishebhyaha Shrutam Eva Tarati Shokam Atmaviditi. What is it that we have heard from the air? The one who comes to know the self, he goes across the sorrow. He becomes free from sorrow. Tarati Shokam Atmavit. The one who comes to know Atma, Atmavit, Tarati Shokam, sorrow, grief, sansara. This we have heard from people like you, because it is there in the air. That is exactly, this applies to any time in India. If somebody comes to Rishikesh to study something for spirituality, it is not like an American coming, an Indian, he already has heard. There is so much of culture around. There is culture in school, that culture, that Adhyatma Vidya culture is there at home. I mean, it is all pervasive in the society. That is one thing, that is whatever may be other problems in India, but this is there all over. You go and ask even a Mataji living somewhere on the mountain top, she can give you a talk on Atmavidya. This is what is called, that is the implication called Bhagavat Rishebhyaha Shrutam Me Tarat Shokam Atmavidit. We have heard that only the one who comes to know Atma becomes free from grief. Now, Soham Bhagavaha. Soham, that is me, the Narada, that me, Soham means, that me means the well-known me, the well-known Narada, the me. Bhagavaha, hey Bhagavan, Shochami, I am unhappy. Shocham means I am unhappy. Tam ma, us mujhko, tam ma, maam, Bhagavan, aap, shokasya param, the other side of the shoka, tarayatu, may you take me across this sorrow. Nichand lot. Shokasya param, tarayatu. I am so unhappy despite my qualifications, despite my education, despite my information, despite my accomplishments. And there also you have to include so many things, despite my upasanas, despite my closeness to Bhagavan Vishnu, etc., etc., all those. That Pauranika Narada, which Narada we don't know, but some Narada came. But then the way it has been described in Chandogya, it has to be a great Vidwan Narada. Great Vidwan Narada. Because when Sanat Kumar asked me, please tell me what all you know, then reams of information. He comes up with a long list of branches of knowledge that he knew. And that having said, what all he knew. You see, this Narada, So Bhagavan, Soham Bhagavaha, Shochami, Shokasya Param, Tarayatu. And we have known from people like you that only self-knowledge liberates man. This is what he tells. Then what happened? Tasmai Mridita Kashayaya. So to him, to Narada, who he was ready for knowledge. Mridita Kashayaya. Tamasaha Param Darshayati. Takes him across the darkness of ignorance. Bhagavan Sanat Kumara takes him across. Takes him across the ignorance, meaning takes him across the sorrow. So taking him across darkness and taking him across sorrow, there is no separate vakya. After taking him across tamas, then he took him across, later on he did this, then he took him across shoka. So tamasaha param is shokasya param. Tamasa. See, he only, what did Narada say? Please take me across sorrow. Then what did he do? Where did he take? He took him across ignorance. You have to do Vimamsa. Here, why? How does it fit in? Narada only asked him, please take me across sorrow. And Sanat Kumara took Narada across ignorance. ये तो गड़बड़ हो गया. But Narada was very happy. That means what? Being taken across darkness, being taken across self-ignorance, and being taken across sorrow are not two things. Therefore, tamasaha param is itself shokasya param. So between tamasaha param and shokasya param, between the two, there is no kartavyantaram. Freedom from ignorance itself is freedom from sorrow. Freedom from confusion, self-confusion itself is freedom from sorrow. This is clear. So Bhashyakara says you better cite these vakyas, meaning you better look at these vakyas to understand the point made by Shruti. You better look at these Shruti vakyas to understand that the Shruti is doing a nivarana of kartavyantaram between knowledge and freedom from samsara. Clear? Darsheti Bhagavan Sanat Kumara iti chaiva madhyaha shrutayaha. The statements like this: moksha pratibandha nivritti matram. Moksha pratibandha nivritti matram. Negation of the obstacle to moksha. The obstacle to moksha is adhyasa. Even the moksha, like what stands between that seeker 10th man and the search, the struggle of the 10th man and freedom from that struggle is only he doesn't know that he is the 10th man. Therefore, that ignorance, that non-understanding and misunderstanding stands about himself, stands between himself and his freedom. That is. Therefore, what does the knowledge do? Knowledge removes what stands between oneself and one's freedom. What stands between oneself and one's freedom is one's own ignorance and error about oneself. And Jnanam does only that job. Moksha pratibandha nivritti matram. Moksha pratibandha nivritti matram, underline and write down avidya nivritti matram. Moksha pratibandha nivritti matram here means avidya nivritti matram. Eva alone, atmajnanasya phalam is the result of knowledge. Darshayanti, these Shrutis only show ityeva madhyaha shrutayaha darshayanti. Darshayanti means dikhate hain. These Shrutis show that the knowledge has only one purpose, that it removes the hurdle that stands between oneself and one's freedom. It doesn't create freedom, it removes only the pratibandhaka that stands between oneself and one's freedom. And what stands between oneself and one's freedom is only avidya, my confusion about myself, stands between myself and my freedom. And therefore, matrameva atmajnanasya phalam darshayanti. Okay, that means these Shrutis show that Jnanam has no other job to do than removing the avidya. If Jnanam is meant to remove the avidya, then the Jnanam removes the avidya. As you gain the Jnanam, it removes the avidya. And beyond that, what do you want to do? For moksha. There cannot be any kartavyantaram between Jnanam and moksha. Therefore, all that is to be done has to be done to know, not that there is something to do after knowing. There is a lot to do. What is a lot to do means? You have to do study, you have to hear, meaning you have to think and understand. You have to do vichara and understand. I have to figure out how everything is one. I have to see every vakya, how is this vakya right? How is it I am unnegatable? How is everything boils down to the subject? How does the object boil down to the subject? How do all the three avasthas boil down to one being, etc.? I have to really battle. I have to educate myself. I have to think to figure out whether it is true or false. Beyond doing a vichara, there is nothing to be done. And if there are some other problems like physical problems, you can go for a walk or see a doctor. That is all. It has nothing to do. Similarly, if you have some mental problems, then you can fight with your mind, control your mind. These are all what we call preparatory steps. You can control your impulses, you can control your likes and dislikes, control your anger, greed, jealousy, etc. and keep your mind peaceful. And with a peaceful mind, look into the vakyas, whether what they say is true or not. Beyond that vichara, shastra vichara, well, there is nothing else to be. Therefore, you can do vichara for knowledge, and beyond and after knowledge there is no kartavya. Neither it is required nor is it possible. Exactly like deep sleep. You can make an effort to sleep. Not that after sleep you do something. For enjoying the fruit of sushupti, for enjoying the fruit of, means for freedom from jagrat. The moment a person falls asleep, he is also free from jagrat, meaning the sansara. The sansara. When there is laya, then there is laya of sorrow. When there is laya of a pratyaya, then there is a laya of sorrow. Similarly, when there is a badha of the pratyaya, there is a badha of sorrow. Okay, iti. Now, it's clear? Tatha cha acharya pranitam nyayopabrimhitam sutram dukkha janmam pravritti dosham mithya jnananam uttarottara apayem tadanantara apayat apavargaha iti. Now here Bhashyakara even quotes one of the Nyaya Sutras, even though we do not accept Nayayika school, but this particular sutra, which is one of the Nyaya Sutras, he cites here. See, even this Nyaya Sutra also only shows what I am saying. See, dukkha tatha cha acharya pranitam. Acharya pranitam is written by Acharya, Gautama Acharya. Acharya pranitam. Nyaya upabrimhitam, logical. Nyaya upabrimhitam means what? A logical. Sutra, the sutra. Here is a statement which is very logical. Here is a statement which is very logical, written by Gautama Acharya. What is this sutra? Dukkha Janma. Dukkha, sorrow. Janma, birth. Pravritti is struggle. Pravritti means, pursuits. Pravritti. Dosha means various mental flaws. Mithya Jnana means erroneous knowledge. In sabka, Mithya Jnana Naam, meaning Dukkha, Janma, Pravritti, Dosha, Mithya Jnana Naam. Among these various factors, Uttarottara Apaye, by negating the following, Uttara means the following, Purva means the preceding. Uttara means the following, Purva means the preceding. Are you able to follow? What does Uttara mean? Following. Purva means preceding. Preceding, following. Uttara Apaye means by negating the succeeding or following. Uttarottara Apaye, on the negation of the succeeding, Tadanantara Apayat, there is negation of the immediately following, immediately preceding. Anantara means the immediately preceding. Anantara. Apayat, there being negation. Apayat. Because there is negation. Apavargaha, moksha. So, among these various factors, each succeeding one negates its immediate preceding one, and in that manner, if you negate the ultimate uttara, the final succeeding thing is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By negating the second, you negate the first. You should follow it, somehow or other I have to convey it. You have to capture that thought, that's all. There are 5 details, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By negating the second, the first is gone. By negating the third, second is gone. By negating the fourth, the third is gone. By negating the fifth, fourth is gone. So by negating the fifth, fourth is gone, third is gone, third is gone, second is gone, first is gone. Therefore, what should you negate? The final, that is Mithya Jnana. So, by negating the succeeding, if there is negation of the preceding, then you negate the final succeeding one, then the whole thing is gone. And therefore, Mithya Jnana Nam Uttarottara Apaye Tadanantara Apayat Apavargaha. Therefore, according to your Nyaya Sutra also, I don't want to quote every statement of yours, but this statement suits us. This particular sutra suits us anyway. Your own Acharya says. This is the dukkha, janma and pravritti, dosha, mithya jnana nam, uttarottara apaye, tadanantara apayat, apavargaha, moksha. So he also says, you don't have to do anything, you negate the fundamental reason. The fundamental reason is there, mithya jnana. Because there is mithya jnana, therefore, there is what we call dosha, and because of the dosha there is pravritti, because of the pravritti there is janma, because of the janma there is dukkha. Therefore you negate the mithya jnana, the whole thing collapses. We are also saying the same thing. The fundamental reason is self-confusion. Therefore, between removal of the self-confusion and freedom from the struggle, between the two there is no karya. Apavargaha iti mithya-jnanam apayascha brahmatma ekatva vijnanat bhavati. Now, even though we have cited a particular sutra from your Nyaya Sutras, that does not mean we will take everything from you. Because Gautama Acharya, his definition, his idea of the problem is different. How does Mithya Jnanam go? He says Mithya Jnanam would go, here he says, Bhashikara says, Mithya Jnana apavadascha, negation of Mithya Jnanam. Mithya Jnana apayascha, negation of Mithya Jnanam means false knowledge. Brahma Atma Ekatva Vijnanat Bhavati. It happens only through the right knowledge about yourself. That the Brahman is, that the subject is unlimited. That the awareness is unlimited. That the observer is unlimited. Apart from this knowledge, there is nothing that can remove Mithya Jnanam. Because the Mithya Jnanam is in the form of I am limited. You see? I am limited is Mithya Jnanam. My existence is confined to the form, and the form is limited. I am physically limited, biologically limited. I am limited in time, space, form, thought. And this Jnanam, this Mithya Jnanam, if it is Mithya Jnanam, you see it has so many implications. So that I am limited, if it is Mithya Jnanam, then the actuality must be that I am unlimited. Then alone this would be Mithya Jnanam anyway. The sense that I am limited would be Mithya Jnanam only if the factuality is that I am unlimited. If we are by nature unlimited, then the idea that I am limited would be an error. If we are unlimited by nature, then the sense that I am limited would be Mithya Jnanam. And that can go only by knowing the nature. There is no other way. There is no other way. This is the obvious contrast. There is no other way, and therefore Mithya Jnana apavadascha brahmatma ekatva vijnanat vijnana se bhavati hota hai. So the negation of the false knowledge goes through the right knowledge. The negation of the wrong knowledge happens only through the right knowledge. Anyway, on this point, Acharyas can't afford to disagree. Unless he wanted to be, wants to be an odd man out. Right knowledge alone removes wrong knowledge, quote unquote. On this point, which Acharya can take a stand against them? Can they afford really to disagree? Therefore, Samyak Jnanam removes Mithya Jnanam. Their disagreement is not on this. What is Mithya Jnanam about? What? You see? The various Acharyas, what is it that is misunderstood? You say the self is misunderstood. Another Acharya says, no, it is not the self that is misunderstood, something else is misunderstood. Each one has got his own definition of the problem. There can be disagreement. There can be disagreement. But on one thing there can't be disagreement. That the Mithya Jnanam can go only through Samyak Jnanam. Not only they have to agree on this point, that the right knowledge alone can remove. Right knowledge alone can remove wrong knowledge, number one. Right knowledge alone can remove wrong knowledge, number one. And number two, right knowledge has no other job to do than to remove wrong knowledge. Number two. Number three, between right knowledge and freedom from wrong knowledge, there can't be any kartavyantaram. On all these 3 points, all the acharyas have to agree, and if anybody doesn't agree, he doesn't qualify to be an acharya. He doesn't qualify to be an acharya. Right knowledge alone removes wrong knowledge. And right knowledge has no other purpose than to remove wrong knowledge. And between the two, right knowledge and rise of right knowledge and the removal of wrong knowledge, between the two, there is nothing else required to be done. There is no kartavyantaram. On these 3 points, they will have to agree. What a great struggle to agree on this point. It is like saying, we all agree. You arrive at that agreement. After so much of conference, you agree. What is that? Only right knowledge removes the wrong knowledge. Wow, great agreement. So where is the lekar sham tak baat karte gaye. At the end they have come to an agreement. A workable agreement. What is it? Chalo, hum maan lenge. What is that? Only right knowledge removes wrong knowledge. They are called acharyas. They are all overweight dumbheads. Therefore, disagreement can't be there on that. Even a schoolboy understands. Even that there cannot be any kartavyantaram between right knowledge and removal of wrong knowledge. Between right knowledge and the removal of wrong knowledge, there cannot be any kartavyantaram. On that matter also, there can't be any disagreement. There can't be any disagreement. Disagreement is somewhere else. Is the problem due to mithya-jnanam? Or is it due to something else? Is it due to God's will? Is it our nature to be unhappy? In determining, in fixing up what the problem is, there are differences of opinion. But once we fix the problem to be mithya-jnanam, then moksha has to be understood. Just the removal of mithya-jnanam alone is moksha. And there again you can't bring in another kartavya. You can't bring in kartavya. Okay, Brahmatma ekatva vijnanat bhavati. Having said this, now Bhashyakara says this jnanam understanding is not like Purushatam, is not like mental imagination. They are not like mental attitudes. We have to differentiate between understanding the evident as it is, understanding a reality as it is, and looking upon something different, looking upon something with an attitude. Like Ganga is holy. Ganga is sacred, is an attitude. Ganga is sacred, is an attitude. That it is water is pramanajanya jnanam, it is knowledge. But I impose upon Ganga the attitude that it is sacred. Imposing the idea, looking upon Ganga as sacred comes under attitude. It is in that manner here we do not look upon ourselves as Brahman. It is not that the subject has to be looked upon as Brahman. Because if it is only looked upon as Brahman, it becomes an attitude which has no standing at all. Yeah, what is that attitude? It can just go. You look upon Ganga Ji as sacred, and then suddenly your Memsap gets into Ganga and then she is gone. Supposing Memsap is taken away by Ganga Ji, then what will be your attitude towards Ganga Ji? Sacred. You will bring back your coconut, everything, You took coconut, etc. to bring, to give, and you bring back everything. Does it take long? To get this Memsap, you had to do tapasya, you had to convince your parents, her parents, and so much of tapasya you had to do to get this Memsap for your wife. And that Memsap, Gangaji took away. Now what will be your attitude towards Gangaji? You will curse Gangaji and come back. These are all nothing. These so-called human attitudes are all nothing. Kuch bhi nahi. We should not have some simple significance. These so-called, that is why, a Brahmana can be converted into a Muslim in no time. All his attitude towards Gangaji, Mandirji, Shivaji is all gone in one day. Just one day. Why? It's all Purusha Tandra Vyapara. In no time it can. Divorce takes place next day. Married, and then after a few days, there is ego problem. You are yourself, I am myself. How long does it take? I can't live without my parents. Memsap comes. Says, I can't live with them. How long does it? These attitudes. I am telling these attitudes, don't trust. Don't trust your own attitudes. They can't sustain you. Truth alone can sustain. In fact, truth alone doesn't require to be sustained. Anything that requires to be sustained cannot be sustained. What needs to be sustained can never be sustained. It will have to collapse. Therefore, here Bhashyakara is going to come up with the whole topic, meaning the entire gamut of human attitudes. Fourfold attitudes. And these fourfold attitudes are called Sampadrupa, Adhyasarupa, and Kriya-based a notion. Samvargarupa attitude, Adhyasarupa attitude, Sampadrupa attitude, and Vikshana, Avekshana. So, Avekshana Rupa attitude. This is all. There can be other attitudes also, but these four are given. Attitude. Certain feeling. You look at your children with affection. That's attitude. You look at your parents with respect. You look upon them as devatas. It's an attitude. You look upon a tree as devata is an attitude. Look upon Ganga as sacred is an attitude. Look upon devata as sun as devata is an attitude. Or look upon something as bad, that is also an attitude. Morning you see a cat and you say it is apashakunam is what? It's an attitude. It's not a fact. Because you saw the cat and you are still alive, the cat saw you, it is dead. In the morning, the cat saw you, and then later on you find the same cat died. Now who is apashagunam for who? And we unnecessarily waste time on it. What are these apashakunas in this creation? Because man always has to survive on attitudes. Purush Tantra Vyaparas. That is what is available. Why? Because he doesn't know the realm of Vastu Tantra Jnanam. He doesn't know the realm of truth. Therefore he has to depend upon these things. Because all his life is action-based. And action means uncertainty of a result. And therefore one can imagine what can bring the result and what may fail to bring, what may come in the way, etc. etc. But anyway, I am only interested in conveying the difference between attitude and knowledge of a fact as it is. Now this particular statement, knowing a fact as it is, quote unquote, who is to decide how a fact is? Who is to decide? Yeah, knowing a fact as it is knowledge, all right. How do I decide a fact? For that also we make it very clear, it can't be otherwise. If it is an object, recognize it as it is evident to the senses. Object as an object has to be recognized, has to be understood as it is evident to the senses. That is what it is. As the object is means as it is evident. Object as an object is evident to the senses. Knowing the object as it is means knowing it as it is evident to the senses. Knowing the Atma as it is means knowing it as it is evident in the form of Anubhava, not as evident to the senses. That is, as it is means as it is Anubhava Siddham. Like as it is means when it comes to an object, as it is means as it is evident to the senses. Thus I have to look at my Anubhava of my existence. And I have to recognize what I am in keeping with my experience of my being. And thus recognizing our own being as it is evident in Anubhava is the Vastu Tantra Jnanam. And that Jnanam is different from changeable attitudes. These changeable attitudes are given here, the various changeable attitudes. I think this particular topic we will see in the coming class. That differentiation has to be done, that difference has to be seen between Vastu Tantra Jnanam. Now it is impossible to interpret, it is impossible to interfere with Jnanam. If the definition of Jnanam is clear, knowing an object as it is evident to the senses, once I say, recognize it as it is evident to the senses, then I can't interfere. I can't interfere. That means I should analyze it and understand as it is. The entire science is what? The entire physical science is just understanding the objects as they are evident to the senses, nothing else. As it is evident to the senses. That is called Vastu Tantra Jnana. Similarly, when it comes to Atma Jnanam, I have to look at my existence as it is evident purely to Anubhava. And the evidence is, the Anubhava is, I am aware of the Jagrat, I am aware of the Swapna, and I am aware of the negation of both. That is Anubhava. Our Anubhava of our existence is in Sushupti, it is our Anubhava. Means we stand one without a second. That is Anubhava. To be without a second is our Anubhava of our being. That I am related here, related there, and stand unrelated is all Anubhava. So I have to look at my Anubhava, what I am. And in keeping with the Anubhava, if I analyze, I understand that that would be Vastutantra Jnanam, and going by Anubhava precludes, takes away, and it wards off the pokey human interference. That subjective interpretation, interference, like you can't interfere with the wine, because in Vastutantra Jnanam there is no possibility of interference. That is why Pramana choicelessly creates knowledge. Why? Not only it is not desirable, but it is not possible for a human being to interfere with the knowledge of a fact as it is. He can't interfere, meaning he can't make it otherwise. If I interfere, that means I am not gaining any right knowledge, I am doing some imagining. Maybe if I interfere, then I will be getting wrong knowledge, not right knowledge. If I use the Pramana, then definitely the Pramana illumines, and I have to know as it illumines. I have to know the form as it is illumined by the senses. I have to know the taste as it is illumined by the senses. Touch as it is illumined by the senses. This is what is called Vastutantra Jnanam registered. I register the nature of the things as they are illumined by the senses. Clear? When I don't use the Pramanas properly, I relegate the Pramanas and trust, I start imagining, that's different. In the same manner here, the Anubhava is something which I can't add to it, I can't take away anything from it. Therefore, interference is not possible, and therefore, I have to understand myself in keeping with the Anubhava. I can't ignore Anubhava and imagine what I am. I have to understand myself as per the Anubhava. That is Vastutantra Jnana, which is unfolded by the Shruti. And leaving out the Anubhava means leaving out the Jagrata Swapna Sushupti Anubhava, leaving out that Anubhava. And if I imagine, it would be wrong knowledge. And also, when there are attitudes, that deliberate attitudes, those deliberate attitudes, they are called upasanas. Those upasanas are different from Vastutantra Jnanam. This is going to show in the coming lines. That we'll see later. Try to make Sushupti otherwise. Try to interfere and prove and show that how Sushupti is not Advitiyam but Sadvitiyam. Try to prove that the tree is not green. It is Pramana Siddham. Tree is green. Okay? Now prove that it is not green. Fire is hot. Prove it is not green. There are laws. Prove them otherwise. You are only just finding language for your observation. You register and there is a language. The entire education is what? Observing and knowing and finding the language. And the language is right there anyway. Now, can you make it otherwise? Can you make it otherwise? No. Similarly, can you make Sushupti otherwise? Can you make it otherwise? You can't make it otherwise. Hai na? Can you make that the Jagrat follows Sushupti? Can you make it otherwise? Jagrat begins exactly where it is not. That is the Anubhava. Jagrat begins exactly where it is not, where it was not. And when the Jagrat was not there, whatever is there is the Advitiyam. And right there begins Jagrat. And right there resolves Jagrat. Because there is nothing, you can't leave the Jagrat outside Sushupti. There is nothing outside to Sushupti. Therefore, when you look at the avasthas objectively without distortion, you can't add anything to Anubhava. You can't take away anything from Anubhava. It is otherwise called. You can't add anything to the truth. You can't delete anything from the truth. Like even, you can't add anything to the Pramana Siddham. You can't delete anything from this Pramana Siddham. Similarly, you can't add to or delete from the Anubhava Siddham, the truth. That is called Vastu Tantram. Therefore, who is to decide how it is? Then nobody is going to decide. It is not somebody decides. Who is going to decide? If somebody has to decide, then everybody will say, I will decide. ये तो शास्त्र है. Thus, there is a difference between Vastutantra Jnanam and Upasanas. It has to be. That's going to be the topic. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnadhanam Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O Rama. Please come. O Rama. Ramachandra. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om Ji. 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 Happy Diwali. How are you? Tonight, children. No, in the afternoon. 4 o'clock. After that, I go somewhere. Now, what time? 9:32. 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock come.
Just talk to the children.
Bring them over. 12 o'clock. 12. 12 o'clock. Or 11:30. 11:30 is there. If you can make it. 11:30. 11:30. I'll do that. Ask them how they are. Hari Om. Please do that. Hari Om Ji. Hari Om Ji. आइए क्लासेस. अभी आइए, तीसरा बार भी आइए. अच्छा अच्छा, तब तो ठीक है. हाँ, बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया. वहाँ पर अटेंड कर रहे हैं तो कोई फिक्र नहीं. तब तो कोई फिक्र नहीं. कहीं भी उधर इधर कहीं भी. हाँ, अटेंड कर सकते हैं जैसे आपका.
आराम से प्रश्न पूछ सकते हैं। यहाँ भी वैसे ही अभी भी पूछ सकते हैं।
हमारे यहाँ पर प्रश्न पूछेंगे तो बड़ा प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी। हमको कोई प्रश्न इसलिए नहीं पूछते हैं, प्रश्न पूछेंगे तो बैठ के सुनना पड़ता है बहुत देर तक। वो इतना आसान नहीं है। प्रश्न पूछना मतलब मुसीबत मोड़ना। You have to sit and hear until you get the answer. You can't fall asleep. हमको प्रश्न पूछना मतलब then be prepared to hear until that entire answer you have to hear. And in the meantime, how many times? So it's not easy. हाँ, प्रश्न पूछ सकते हैं. You are prepared to do Shravanam. That's why, Arjuna only asked one question. Then he had to answer 18 chapters. He asked one question until Arjuna said, "Ab kafi hai." Whether his moha was nashta or not, God knows. But he said, "Nashto moha smritirlabdha." That is the only way to stop. ऐसा नहीं जी, वेदांत में हर प्रश्न का समाधान, everything is explained away. There is nothing that is not explained. Everything is explained. The student has to have patience and sit and study it. Yeah, please.
That time the form, that time the limited. This another thing you say is because of.
No, because of avidya is not right. It is avidya. Dehoham. I am the form is avidya. I am limited is avidya. It is a direct notion about the self. I am limited is an error about myself. Okay? Presupposing this notion. Now this is called, I am limited and right. The idea that I am the form also, that is an error. The non-form is seen as the form is an error. And error implies non-recognition. That I do not know that I am unlimited. And therefore, that I do not know that I am unlimited makes me feel that I am limited. This whole thing should be looked at as avidya. It is adhyasa. Now, because of the limitation, that I am limited makes me struggle to get out of it. That can be called as because of it. The struggle, sansara, is because of avidya. Dehoham is avidya. Dukkham because of avidya. You can bring in hetu madbhava. This is called, reason-result relation. But as you proceed, then you will understand, even the result, even though we say what is because of ignorance cannot be outside ignorance, it is also ignorance. You see, it's like, because I dreamt, I dreamt a thief, okay? And seeing the thief in the dream is a dream, okay? And because of that dream, I have the fear of the thief. So I can create hetu madbhava. One is the dream, the other is because of the dream, the result. But actually, seeing the dream, seeing the thief is a dream, and the fear of him also was a dream. In that way, both come under the same category. Therefore, ultimately, even the sansara is, even though we call it as avidya, hetu, but it is all, it is erroneous that way. Because avidya doesn't bring about What is born of avidya, the dukkham born of avidya, is it avidyakam or vastavikam? That vikalpa comes. Is it factual? Is it, see, the error brings about sorrow. See, that I am the limited is a wrong notion. Now, what is born of the wrong notion? The struggle, is it real struggle or a false struggle? And so the false notion brings about a real struggle, you can't say. And the false struggle, in fact, leads only to, false notion only leads to false struggle, meaning within the realm of the non-understanding, within the realm of non-understanding, I feel that I am limited and I am also struggling for the moksha. So the entire thing is this Hetu Madhava also. As you go, as you move towards, as you move into the heart of the Shastra, you will just bulldoze all these bhavas. There is only truth and error. And the error-born result also is error. But to begin with, a student can be shown, your problem is not that you are unhappy, your problem is your misconception about yourself, and that misconception is called avidya. And because of avidya, there is a sorrow. In bringing about Hetu Madhava, a student's focus will be more on misconception and correction rather than finding sorrow. See, there is a person. Otherwise, a student in the beginning, if you say, sorrow is your problem, then he would be finding the sorrow. He would not be solving the problem. Therefore, he says, sorrow will take care of yourself, you don't bother. The reason for sorrow is the avidya, and you better handle misconception about yourself. And when that handled, well, the result of it called the sorrow will handle itself, don't worry. In this manner, it's like saying, you come out of the dream, that is, there is the dream of a thief, then you will also come out of sorrow. You come out of the idea that it is snake, then it will also come, you will come out of the fear, etc. What we say. But they are not. If somebody asks the question, say it is avidya. And to begin with, a student can be said, Hetu Madhava, Bijankura Bhava is necessary. Later on, a student will figure out this Bijankura Bhava has no meaning. Hetu Madhava is. If we say, I am the body is an error. Is an error, is a notion. Is itself why it is there? Because there is lack of right knowledge that I am unlimited. Okay? Both go together. Even though there is Hetu Madhava, reason-result relation between non-understanding and misunderstanding. So there is a wrong notion because of lack of right knowledge. Okay. I am Deha is an error due to lack of right knowledge. Why there is lack of right knowledge? Because I never thought about it. And lack of right knowledge is anadi, and error also is anadi, and therefore I am the body is an error which implies lack of right knowledge, because there can never be an error without the right knowledge. So there is anadi error due to anadi agrahanam. So this anadi, once we say it is anadi, then you can't say it came about due to some other reason. Another point, just we are concluding. The entire causation presupposes avidya. Now, why there is avidya, to explain that, don't bring in causation. That's meaningless. The entire causation in the creation presupposes avidya. Now, to explain avidya, don't bring in causation. Because you can't say why there is avidya. That means you are looking for a cause for avidya. So, avidya is the reason behind the realm of causation. Now, I am explaining, see, limited things are explained away through causation. Now, the realm of causation I am explaining away through avidya, as an error, as adhyasa. Now, adhyasa itself cannot have another reason, meaning what? Causation. There cannot be a causation between avidya and something. So there is no causation. Avidya itself does not exist within causation. Even between agrahanam and anyathagrahanam, it is not that agrahanam transforms and becomes anyathagrahanam. There is a truth ununderstood becomes a misunderstood. So there is no transformation. So there is no causation.
There's no karyantra bhava. There's no karyantra bhava.
There is no karyantara bhava. There is no causation in the sense, there is no modification. So a truth ununderstood becomes misunderstood. So this ununderstoodness and the misunderstoodness is anadi. And this we explain away the entire realm of causation and avidya. And now that avidya again, supposing it says, where from did the avidya come? That means you want to use the causation as an explanation for avidya, whereas we are using the avidya for explaining the whole causation. The realm of causation itself is an error. If the causation is an error, then due to what cause is the error? You can't ask that question. That would be an illogical. Causation itself is an error. The realm of causation itself is an error. And the error is due to which cause you can't say. The error means the error of which truth. The error is of which truth. And the error means non-understanding of which truth keeps the error. I can ask the question. The error about what I can ask. Not the error due to what. The error due to what is wrong. You can ask the question, the error, the mistake about what you can say. You can't say mistake due to what. Because this due to causation, everything is an error. And that makes it anadi. And anadi means free from causation. That is. Are you? In a light vein, even if somebody says, Dehoham is due to avidya, there is nothing wrong in it. It is due to avidya or avidya, due to ignorance. There is no problem. Even when you say it is due to avidya, the meaning is only it is avidya. Yes, that is not, those expressions are not to be worried about. Whether you say idli is made of rice, or you say idli is all rice, it is the same thing. Okay, sir. They can get it.